Comfort women were women who were taken from their homes and forced into prostitution for Japanese soldiers during World War II. At first, the Japanese government denied all involvement. However, after documents surfaced in 1992, the government was forced to address this issue. Japan has attempted to mend ties with Korea on numerous occasions. However, Koreans feel that their apologies lack sincerity and remorse. Japanese politicians often make inconsiderate remarks in visits to the Yasukuni Shrine, a shrine dedicated to fallen soldiers, including Class A war criminals. Koreans view these visits to the shrine as the government's glorification of its violent past. Recently, both countries were finally able to come to a consensus on the issue after years of disagreement. Why has Japan finally apologized, and why has Korea finally accepted? Why now? The ruling Liberal Democratic Party in Japan desires to satisfy the leftists, most of which are part of the Japanese Communist Party, who want to improve relations with South Korea by admitting the wrongdoing during the war and formally apologizing to the victims. However, the LDP must also try to appease to the rightists who are strongly opposed to what they view as repeatedly apologizing for the actions of the past generation. The LDP for years has struggled to find an acceptable solution that satisfies both parties. In December 2015, Japan and South Korea were finally able to come to an agreement that the Japanese government hopes will put an end to the issue of comfort women. Japan has paid 1 billion yen, or about $8.3 million, to the Korean government, which will be used to fund the organization supporting the victims in South Korea. Japan has also issued a formal apology for its actions during the war. In response, the Korean government has promised to look into the removal of a statue of a comfort woman that currently stands outside the Japanese embassy in South Korea.
So my name is Yoon. I'm 16. I'm an econ and neuroscience double major. I am originally from Korea. I lived in Japan for a long time, actually, for 6 years before coming to the U.S. So I think I have an interesting perspective on this comfort woman issue and a lot of Japanese-Korean diplomatic problems.
All right, sounds great.
Yeah, I know a lot of diplomats, even Obama, have mentioned how this treaty agreement is very successful because it puts things like in the past and it helps us move on, but I really don't think so. First of all, it does not involve the victims at all. This was not talked to them at all before the treaty was signed. It was pretty unfair, I think. Although they are giving some reparations, it's definitely not enough, and they're not trying to take any moral or ethical responsibilities. It's just like, okay, we'll give you a certain amount of money, so we're never going to talk about it again. So I think it's pretty unfair.
The agreement also states that both of the countries will no longer mention the comfort women issue in international conferences. Both parties have agreed that this decision is final and irreversible. After years of pushing the issue aside, why did Japan finally decide to apologize, and why did Korea finally choose to accept? There are several possibilities. Perhaps the threat of the rising Chinese military power and China's increasingly assertive role in the region was able to sway both countries into ending this dispute. Or the threats from North Korea have persuaded both countries to accept the apology in hopes that Japan will come to South Korea's aid if North Korea attacks. Or simply, Japan and South Korea just wanted to eliminate the main obstacle preventing them from addressing other political issues. The most compelling explanation as to why these countries finally came to this agreement at this time is because of pressure from the United States. For years, the United States has desired to maintain a strong presence in East Asia. The U.S. has continuously pressured the Japanese government to apologize to South Korea in order to create a military balance against the growing influence of China in key strategic positions on the island's peninsula. A better relationship between South Korea and Japan could mean that more U.S. military bases are created and better defense against North Korea is established. Hello, we are here today with Professor Jennifer Lin. She is a professor here at Dartmouth College in the Department of Government, and her focus is on East Asian foreign policy and Japanese war memory.
I know that the U.S. government has wanted for a long time, over half a century, for Japan and South Korea to work together more. and they at various times have tried to exert some influence. The U.S. actually was really instrumental in bringing together the initial normalization of relations between South Korea and Japan. Interestingly, the South Koreans said, we won't do it without an apology from Japan. And the Japanese said, that's a non-starter. And the Americans said, okay, come on, you guys, what can we do here? Throw me a bone, right? Give them something. And so the U.S. in the early 1960s, actually it was under Ambassador Reischauer in Japan, was really involved in all of this. The U.S. has really been urging, U.S. officials are just always urging the South Koreans and the Japanese, please figure out a way to get past this. You have so much to benefit if you can get past this. It's sort of a help us help you, right? Like if we can create more of a trilateral strategic relationship, then we'll all be safer, right? Vis-a-vis China, vis-a-vis North Korea. So the U.S. has very much been interested in this.
Many hope that this agreement will bring an end to the hostilities between the two countries and allow for more political negotiations. However, the exclusion of comfort women from this monumental agreement has left many people, especially in Korea, unhappy with government action.